दीन 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 करुणा करने नटराजा. Welcome to today's session. We'll make our beginning today towards a fresh topic called as place of supply. No doubt this is a topic which pitches in from IGST law, section 10, 11, 12, 13 of IGST Act comes out and discuss about the determination of place of supply. Before we getting into the section, the other aspects and technicalities associated with the respective topic, let's broadly look at the need for place of supply. When it comes to a topic called as why we need to know about place of supply, I think we all will get instantly an answer that the nature of supply can be decided only if we have a very important term called as place of supply, in which place the supply of goods is completed, in which place the supply of services is completed. We have a definition for it, which is what we are going to learn. But that definition of various sections, be it 10, 11, 12, and 13, need us to determine whether a supply is an intrastate supply or interstate supply. The most important key ingredient is going to be place of supply. So let's understand this math behind it. So the moment once I zero in, there is an activity called as supply. The next immediate aspect that would be taken by me would be to determine place of supply. In fact, I would not even bother about nature of supply. I will first bother about place of supply. In fact, we all have to revisit our chronological order. Once the activity is there, we will check this activity would result in supply. If our answer is yes, then the next aspect we will do immediately is determination of place of supply. Once we determine place of supply correctly, the third activity for us would be determination of nature of supply, which is location of supplier and place of supply, which would give us some answers. Having decided nature of supply, then only we will step into levy, then only we will step into time of supply, then only we will step into value. Afterwards, ITC, registration, procedure, so on and so forth. So, place of supply is so much important because two things: to which state government the revenue should go, or the revenue should go to central government, is determined based on place of supply. In fact, when we at a later point in time, when we discuss about documentation under GST, be it tax invoice, be it the credit note, be it a receipt voucher, payment voucher, self-tax invoice, in every document, place of supply is an important field. I'll rephrase it. Place of supply is a mandatory field that those information has to be mentioned over here. So, to that extent, this topic becomes important. Today, we will make a beginning towards this topic, where initially we will take it up the discussions relating to place of supply of both goods and services. On goods and services, we'll first start with a domestic transaction. Before we move forward, or before we take a little more discussions, let's have a broader understanding of how this whole discussion over next 2 days or maybe a third session, half of it followed by its own practical discussions. How it is going to follow, we'll wait and watch. Place of supply. When it comes to this topic called as place of supply, it can be broadly categorized into place of supply of goods. Of course, no doubt, place of supply of services. This place of supply of goods or services is further divided into place of supply of goods, very key important term, other than export or import of goods. I do understand that this question is a little odd question to you. At your level, I should not ask this question. But pardon me, I am forced to ask this question. Can you explain me what is import of goods and what is export of goods? I already told that. Okay, I should not ask, but I am asking it. So you have to, yes. What do we mean by import of goods? Whatever way in which you understand. Place of supply of goods in case of in export or import of goods. Yes. So quick. Come on. I asked a very simple question. Import of goods, export of goods. How are we going to understand? When you will say goods imported, when you will say goods exported. Yes. Import of goods, export of goods. Quick. Quick. Hello. Good. Aishwarya, a very exhaustive answer. Good. Jai Kumar, an import of goods bought in one country that was produced in another country. Okay. Import recipient of service located in India. No, I'm with goods, Ganapati. Import of goods means bringing goods into India from a place outside India. Agreed. When goods move from a place outside India to a place in India called as import of goods and vice versa is export of goods. Yes, Lakshmi, agreed. Uh, goods being goods crosses the custom barriers in India is called as import of goods. Okay, when Vivekananda, a different understanding, it's okay. Uh, Bringing goods into India from a place outside India, taking goods from a place outside India is called as export of goods. Then agree. Ganapati, I'm on the word called as import or export of goods. Import means what? Export means what? Import of goods. If you want to add one terminology, export of goods means what? Import of goods, export of goods, as it been very rightly highlighted by many people. Taking goods from a place outside India to India would be treated as import of goods. Taking goods from a place in India to a place outside India would be treated as export of goods. In fact, that is how the definition would be worded. When we get into its more specific discussion, at that time we will discuss about it. Place of supply of services is broadly classified into two types. Place of supply of service, where location of supplier and location of recipient is in taxable territory. Place of supply of services is determined or defined in a different way, where the location of supplier and place of supply is in taxable territory. Another terminology, place of supply of service, in case location of supplier or location of recipient is in non-taxable territory. So, broader ways in which the place of supply is being understood. So, just a small summation. Place of supply would be the very important term. Place of supply is broadly classified into two types: place of supply of goods and place of supply of services. As far as place of supply of goods and place of supply of services is concerned, nothing. It's one discussion will discuss about goods, another discussion will be discussing about services. Beyond that, nothing great. A very clear discussion on goods. Place of supply of goods alone will be concentrated there. Place of supply of service would be concentrated there. Followed by, in case of one more. In case of your place of supply of goods, it is further classified into two types: place of supply of goods other than import or export of goods, place of supply of goods in case of import or export of goods. So it's all based on the type of the transaction. So place of supply of goods. So the whole idea is that's all. Place of supply of goods is further classified into two types. That's all. Now, when it comes to place of supply of service, again, when it comes to place of supply of services, place of supply of services is broadly classified into again two different types. Place of supply of service, where the location of supplier and location of recipient is in taxable territory. Place of supply of services, next discussion is where the location of supplier or location of recipient in non-taxable territory. Very interesting to note between the two differences is this service is covered when both supplier and recipient is in taxable territory. This is covered when supplier or recipient in foreign country, non-taxable territory. Okay, non-taxable territory means any territory other than taxable territory, other than India, would be treated as non-taxable territory. Now, coming back here, getting into our discussions. This is covered by section 10 of IGST Act. This is covered by section 10 of IGST Act and followed by when it comes to place of supply of goods in case of import and export of goods is covered by section 11 of IGST. Let me repeat, that is handled by section 11 of IGST Act. Then in case of supply of services, it is handled by section 12 of IGST Act. And similarly, location of supplier or location of recipient, when it comes to that discussion, location of supplier or location of recipient, yes, it is going to be covered by 13 of IGST. Do I need to remember this section? Do I need to remember its placement? Do I need to remember this diagram? In my view, the best in class of diagram. A lot of you will be aware of this diagram. Otherwise, this is your complete diagram on place of supply. At one go, you can understand place of supply. Later, we will have a separate diagram for place of supply of goods and place of supply of service. A summary diagram. That will be a summary diagram. At one go, at one stretch, we will be able to recollect all information. We will do the diagram at the fag end. But as of now, this is your important diagram relating to place of supply. Yes. So if you could able to take a grip on this particular discussion, sir, what should I be able to know? Understand all the section comes for a different purpose. 10, you will have a feeling of domestic related transaction because it is not going to speak about import or export of goods. 11, you will get a feeling it should be a goods and it should be a import of goods or export of goods is covered here. 12, again you will get a domestic feeling because supplier and recipient should be in India, taxable territory. 13, you would be able to appreciate that supplier or recipient, not and recipient, important word. Supplier or recipient in foreign country. So if in case of export of service, yes, no doubt, supplier will be in, recipient will be in foreign country. Import of service, no doubt, supplier will be in foreign country. So the section is not worded as place of supply for import or export of service. Very carefully they coined the term. The section is worded as, it's a common section. If you look at from exporter's perspective, you will get an answer for export. If you look at for importer's perspective, you will get an answer for import. It's a common section. It has been worded in that way. So that sums up our discussion relating to your basic understanding on the topic, and coming back over here, getting into the presentation. As far as place of supply, this topic is concerned. Place of supply of goods and services, common discussion together. We are going to initially discuss about domestic transactions. Again, a term given by us. We don't have in the law domestic transaction, international transaction, or cross-border transaction. But we segregate the section. As section 10 and 12 concentrate more on activities that happen within India. So it can be called as domestic transaction. When it comes to section 11 and 13, concentrate more on transaction between countries, it would be termed as international transaction. Coming back here, in case of domestic transaction, both supply of goods, supply of services are going to be discussed. Before that, some definitions. Certain definitions we will discuss now. Certain definitions we will discuss when we get into service discussion. Okay. Principal place of business. PPOB, in short called as PPOB, principal place of business. The place of business which is mentioned in the certificate of GST registration. The place of business which is mentioned in the certificate of registration, that place would be treated as a principal place of business. Let me remind you, in the certificate of registration, face of the GST certificate of registration, one address will be mentioned. That is called as principal place of business. Next page to the GST registration, additional places they will put. You can have maximum of 20 places, 20 places. Sir, if it goes beyond 20, we will give record, but it can't be uploaded in the system. Maximum places that can be uploaded in the system is only 20. Now, why I highlight this point itself is, some of us will think we have certain clients like that itself. They are into the business of this pharmacy, and more than 33 shops they have in Tamil Nadu. 33. What can be added itself is only 20. Sir, balance 13 shop. We will intimate the jurisdictional authority. We will intimate the respective, district-wise jurisdictional authority, that look, my registered number is this, my office is this, head office is this, I have an office here. However, I am not able to update it. This is just for the information and records for this authority. So that's on the practical end. Don't be much bothered about it. My intention here is, one organization might have only one principal place of business. In the certificate phase it will come. Any number of additional place of business within a state. Outside the state, generally it is not possible. As you all know, a registration is, GST registration is a state specific registration. In Andhra Pradesh, if I have a registration, Visakhapatnam is my head office. Why is that? One office is there in Tirupati. One office is there in Rajmundry. One office is there in Kakinada. One office is there in Ongole. One office is there in Nellore, Chittoor, Guntur, Vijayawada. All these offices' address are treated as additional place of business. Head office address, which is there on the certificate, would be treated as principal place of business. First page of the certificate, address will be there. Rest all address will be backside. So why these topics are all relevant? Sometimes goods will be delivered to individual places. Sometimes goods will be delivered to individual places. And though goods will be delivered to individual places, referring the same GST number. At that time, we will have a little difference. I can get in my branch office itself directly all that and all? Yes, all that is possible. Just be aware of a fact, something like this. Coming back here, yet another discussion. a term called as fixed establishment. What do we mean by a term fixed establishment? Fixed establishment means a place which is characterized by, most important words, sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure in terms of both human and technical resources. I only want all of us to appreciate these two important lines. A place which is characterized by sufficient degree of suitable structure, means sufficient degree of permanence and suitable structure, which accommodate in terms of human and technical resources, from where supply is made, from where supply is received. If supply is received, may be possible. From where supply is made or where supply is received, that place would be treated as fixed place of establishment. Fixed place of establishment. So, points for our discussion. In case of service industry, this definition gets its moment. From a goods industry, this definition is not much important. After reading a term called as location of supplier of service, location of recipient of service, we will give a lot more weightage to this term. This point I have already discussed with you in elaboration when we discussed the principal place of business itself. A place from business is carried out, a place where goods are stored or material is stored, or where a place where they maintain his books of accounts, or the place from where a person is engaged in the business as an agent. All these places will be treated as place of business of that particular registered person. All these places are treated as place of business of that particular person. So, sir, if we have 3 godowns, whether that 3 godowns information has to be intimated to GST department? Answer is simple yes, because that is a place of business. Sir, why these words are important? From a service perspective. From a service perspective, if I provide a service to godown 1, the place of business of godown 1 is going to be my place of supply. Of course, be it godown 1, godown 2 or godown 3, all 3 godowns are going to be in the same state. End of the day, place of supply will be only from a state perspective. It is not, what is it, Chennai, Coimbatore, Tiruchi, Madurai. End of the day, you say Coimbatore, Tiruchi, Madurai, or Nellore, Guntur, Ongole, whatever you're going to say. End of the day, it's going to be Andhra Pradesh. End of the day, it's going to be Tamil Nadu, as the case may be. So, intention here is very simple. In those circumstances, in only those circumstances, this places gains its moment. The place where the goods are stored, the place from where they supply those goods or services, the place from where they carry the business, the place where they keep their books of accounts, all these places will be treated as POB, place of business. Is there is a difference between POB and PPOB? Yes, there is a possibility. POB, place of business. PPOB, principal place of business. Principal place of business means on the face of the certificate, address will be mentioned. POB means at the back of the certificate, address will be mentioned. Both are places from where business operates. Some more information or definitions. Usual place of residence. Again, a key term from service perspective. From goods, that term is not much important, but again, for a reference, we read. If it is an individual, the place where he ordinarily resides. If it is a corporate entity, a legal entity, I would not use the word corporate entity, a legal entity, a legal person, then the place where it is incorporated. Person can be broadly only two types: a natural person, you and me; a legal person, anything which is constitutionally incorporated, starting from a partnership firm, or it could be an LLP, or a AOP, or a BOI, or a trust, a society, cooperative society, multi-state cooperative society, or it is going to be a body which is formed by an act of parliament or a state legislature or a local authorities board, or it is going to be a company. Again, it can maximum go as a body corporate, a foreign company having its branch or establishment over there. Generally, legal person will revolve only on this, including the government. For all of them, where they are incorporated, that would be usual place of residence. For individuals, where they ordinarily resides. Address of delivery, a very important term from place of supply of goods. Address of the recipient of both goods and services indicated in the tax invoice. Indicated in the tax invoice issued by a registered person for delivery of such goods or services or both. Address of delivery means the address that is mentioned in the tax invoice issued by a registered person. A tax invoice issued by a registered person will contain an address of delivery. That address would be treated as the address of delivery because we have a discussion, the place where the goods are delivered, address of delivery, that would become place of supply. So for that reason only that definition becomes important. Address on record means as available in the records of the supplier. Very, very dangerous word. Address on record. Again, important from a service perspective. When we go to place of supply of services, domestic transaction, there we will come across this word, address on record. In my record, I am a supplier. In my record, address is available. In my record, address is available. That would become place of supply. A known definition, a very comfortable definition, non-taxable territory, a very simple definition, other than taxable territory. Taxable territory, a territory to which this act applies. Technically, that's all. A territory to which the provisions of this act apply. When you go to section 1, where it is applicable, it applies to whole of India, including Jammu and Kashmir. Including Jammu and Kashmir, yes. Is there any difference between taxable territory and India? Technically, no. At least for the first 7 days, we will have a difference. Taxable territory means other than Jammu and Kashmir. India means including Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. But after 8th of July, no difference. Absolutely no difference. From 8th of July, all are same. Taxable territory and India, all are same. No differences associated. What we have read are all some of those important definition. We have two more important definition from the service perspective. Section 2 subsection 14 and 2 subsection 13 would discuss about it. Location of supplier of service, location of recipient of service. That definition, when we go to section 12, at that time we will take it up. Section 10 of IGST Act, no doubt. determination of place of supply of goods other than export or import of goods. So a place of supply of goods is going to be determined, but other than export of goods and import of goods. Why place of supply? What is the importance of place of supply? By this time, all of us know. I am not pressing on that point as we initially discussed that. Section 10 is broadly classified into 5 types. In other words, section 10 subsection 1 has 5 subclauses or 5 clauses. Section 10(1) has 5 clauses A, B, C, D, E. Goods involves movement, bill to ship to transaction. Goods does not involve movement in case of assembling or installation, in case of supply of goods on a onboard conveyance. 5 different types of transaction is covered when it comes to goods. To the contrary, a last sublim would come out and say if goods cannot be determined in this 5, it will be determined as envisaged by the government. Nothing is as of now recommended. So when it comes to place of supply of goods, it can be broadly classified into 5 types. When goods involves movement, place of supply of goods other than export or import, where the place of supply of goods, how to determine place of supply of goods? When goods involves movement. When the goods involve movement or that supply of goods involves movement of goods, that movement of goods is carried out either by the supplier or by the recipient or by any other person. Any other person means a carrier, transporter. Place of supply will be the place where the movement terminates for delivery to the recipient. Ask a very fundamental question: where your movement terminates? The place where the movement terminates, that is going to be your place of supply. To start with, in case of wherever supply involve movement of goods. Sir, what do you mean by movement of goods? A supplier, let's say A Limited in Andhra Pradesh, supply goods to B Limited in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Vizag, Tamil Nadu, Chennai. Goods moves from Vizag to Chennai. Goods moves. The supplier is going to move the goods. Then that goods involve movement. That's all. It's a movement of goods. Sir, it's not the movement is carried out by the supplier. This time ulta. Movement of goods is carried out by the recipient. Recipient sent his lorry, picked the material and brings. Again, kindly make a note. Recipient sent the lorry, obtained the material, procured the material, and recipient moved the goods. When the goods involves movement, supply of goods involve movement of goods, either by supplier or by recipient or by a transporter, which is otherwise called as any other person. The place where the movement stops, terminates for delivery, that would become place of supply. Done. So a very elementary discussion. In my view, lot of you will get it right. if I ask a question now, in spite of that, I will ask that question. We will close that level 1 discussion and step into level 2 and then level 3, which are all the levels expected at a final level. Coming back here, let's take up a situation. PQ Limited in Andhra Pradesh. Why is that? Supply goods to RS Limited in Kerala, Kochi. The movement of goods is handled by supplier from Vizag to Kochi. Okay. Place of supply of goods will be PQ Limited in AP, Vizag, supply goods to RS Limited in Kerala, of course, Kochi. The movement of goods from Vizag to Kochi. The movement of goods from Vizag to Kochi is handled by the supplier. Supplier moved the goods from Kerala to Kochi. Sorry, Vizag to Kochi. What is going to be your place of supply? One caution point here: place of supply always will be state. Place of supply can never be districts, never can be anything. Place of supply means always it is state. Sir, if I get a foreign country, then I'll come back and address you at that time. Don't be bothered about it. That's a special entry required there. Place of supply always state. Next time, if we say POS, we have to say whether it is AP or KL. Maybe for your reference, because it's an exam where we need to write a descriptive answer, you may refer what Kochi. But POS is not Kochi. POS is state name. True? Yes. So a few answers started to come. Done. All of you all, as I expected. Kirti, check your answer. Good, good, good. Aishwarya, Ganapati, Haripriya, Mohan, Vishnu Prasad. Your presentation all are good. Sai Subramaniam. Sai Subramaniam, check your answer. Place where what terminates? What terminates? First question. When you write all that, you check once again. So, place where movement terminates. Movement terminates for delivery. See, movement terminates means movement stop, movement come to an end, all that. Where movement come to an end once it reaches the Kochi factory of the buyer. So the place where the movement terminates, that would become place of supply. So as per section 10(1)(a), place of supply will be Kerala. Yeah? This is a very simple question. At final level, you will never get this question. I'll write and give you. You will never get this question. Then why you ask me this question? First question should be like that only. Okay. Then what would come into my exam? Yes. Before we get into that zone, here I want all of you to appreciate whenever supply involve movement of goods, either by the supplier or by the recipient or by any other person, place of supply will be the place where the movement terminates for delivery to the recipient. This time, it is not your PQ limited. This time, it is AB limited. AB limited of TN Chennai supplied goods to CD limited in Karnataka, Bangalore. Very interesting to note. The movement of goods is handled by the recipient from Chennai to Bangalore. Movement of goods is handled by Chennai to Bangalore. No doubt, the supplier is responsible for delivery of goods until the place delivered the goods. What is going to be your place of supply? A very fundamental question can be raised. Can the recipient be responsible for transporting the goods? The answer would be yes. The recipients are responsible for transporting the goods. Recipient can take the responsibility of transporting the goods, all that is possible. So, in the transaction of AB Limited, who is in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, has supplied some goods to Vivekanandan, check your answer. Has supplied goods to CD Limited, Karnataka, Bangalore. The movement of goods is handled by the recipient from Chennai to Bangalore. The movement of goods is handled by the recipient from Chennai to Bangalore. So, what would be the place of supply? Is going to be a triggered question to us. Place of supply would be when goods involves movement, and that goods involves movement where the movement is handled by the recipient and the movement terminates for delivery. And during the movement, if any risk happens, again the supplier is responsible. But the movement alone, supplier has not, what to say, not given weightage to it. Okay. Yes. Kirtana, check your answer. See, in this only difference between the previous question and this question is, in a previous question, supplier was responsible for transportation. In this question, recipient is responsible for transportation. Okay. Beyond that, no other difference I find there. If in case the recipient is responsible for transportation, then the place where the movement terminates. So, where does the movement terminates is going to be your further questions. So, place of supply, Deepak, check your answer. The place of supply will be Kritika Prakash, again, check your answer. The place of supply will be the place where the movement terminates. The movement of goods terminates, which is again going to be your Bangalore, Bangalore, Karnataka. Place of supply will be Karnataka. See, uh, Haripriya Mohan, Vivekanandan, Kirtika Prakash, Deepak. I think you are all missing one important emphasis in the question. One of the important emphasis in the question is supplier is responsible for movement of goods. And nowhere the goods is delivered at the factory they have told. Kindly make a point there. Read through your question there. The movement of goods alone is handled by the recipient. The recipient is going to handle the movement of goods, which means supplier said, see, I don't have lorry and all, I will not take. You carry the goods, whatever, until the goods reaches your place, we are responsible. Until the goods reaches your place, we are responsible. So the responsibility is still with the supplier. Let me repeat, the responsibility is still with the supplier, but the movement activity is handled by the recipient. So here the test is, when supplier transport only we have to determine place of supply like this, or even recipient transport also we have to determine place of supply. Let recipient transport, we would determine place of supply like this. So place of supply would be your Karnataka, the place where the movement terminates. A real challenge will come if same AB Limited, who is a supplier of goods, supplied goods to CD Limited, Karnataka at X factory price. At X factory price. At X factory price. What do you mean by X factory price? All risk, all responsibility, everything would be stopped at the factory gate of the supplier. At the factory gate of supplier, all risk, all responsibility will stop. Sir, how it is different from the erstwhile understanding? All risk and responsibility of mine will stop at the end when goods reaches the other destination. Now, in this question, all risk and responsibility will stop at my factory gate. At my factory gate, all risk and responsibility will stop. What is going to be my place of supply is going to be the real challenge. A very real challenge, a very serious challenge is going to be this. What is going to be my place of supply of goods? Deepak, I told place of supply of goods has to be state. Ramya, I told this is a habit. This habit has to change. Otherwise, we will write Chennai and he will not give mark. This is a practice, it will come. Mark my word, it will come. Because after very tough efforts, very conscious efforts, it has changed for us. Because every time we are always connected with that particular area. So make yourself comfortable. Now, a word that we need to concentrate over here is place of supply will be the place where the movement of goods terminates for delivery. What do we mean by the term for delivery? All risk, all responsibility, everything stops at that location. Okay. This throws up one point that place of supply will be The place where the goods are handed over. Where the goods are handed over? Factory gate. What is my price terms or commercial terms? X factory price. I'm sure all of us are aware of it. X factory price means where the goods will be delivered at the factory gate. No movement, no insurance, no risk of transportation. Nothing will belong to the supplier. All belongs to the responsibility to whom? Recipient. So, if the goods are going to be delivered at the factory gate, place of supply will be TN. Let me repeat, if goods are going to be delivered at the factory gate, place of supply will be Tamil Nadu. Vaishnavi K, do you still think even the goods are delivered at X factory price? Delivered at X factory price. Aishwarya, kindly understand, this time movement of goods will be there. Not by, let me repeat, not by the supplier, by the recipient. Movement of goods will be there. The goods will move, no doubt. But all risk and responsibility for the supplier will stop at the factory gate. Just to take up a situation and discuss, if the transporting lorry met with an accident, you cannot come back to the supplier and ask him, give me another mission. That mission met with an accident. He made a point very clear. I have delivered the goods at my factory gate. Any risk and responsibility belongs to you. If that be the situation, the place where the movement of goods terminates, that would become place of supply. Sir, here there is no movement at all, sir. No, there is a movement. Without no movement means I'll come to another situation. That is my third situation, not the next situation, third situation. That is different. This is different. When we get into that situation, we will be able to know. No movement means supplier also should not move, recipient also should not move. That is called as no movement. Even one fellow moves, it's called as movement. A supply involves movement. But we demarcate our risk and responsibilities. Now, sir, if I determine place of supply as Tamil Nadu, what is the problem? Now, all of you who are all answered this question of A, B, and C, D. Okay, A, B, and C, D only. No? Yeah. A, B, and C, D Limited, where the goods are sold at X factory price. For that same question, now can you come up with your nature of supply? For the same question, you all rightly identified place of supply. Can you come up with a nature of supply? Will it be an intrastate supply or an interstate supply? Will it be a intra or inter? Kindly check. Intra, inter. Kirtana, sorry, Kirti, check your answer. Ramya, check your answer. Intra, inter. For the same transaction where you decided place of supply is going to be Tamil Nadu, I just want to know from you, is it an intra-state supply or an interstate supply? Shweta, check your answer. Balaji, yes, check your answer. Balaji, it is from where you bill and where you send the goods decide nature of supply, or something we read in section 7, section 8 of IGST Act. When we read a subsequent topic, we are not supposed to forget our older topic. Okay. Is it need to be decided based on the place where the supplier is located and the recipient is located, or it need to be decided based on where the supplier is located and the place of supply? I think the second one is the option. Location of supplier Tamil Nadu, place of supply Tamil Nadu, supply would be treated as intra-state supply. Now, I am aware that all of you would have had an opportunity to know something about input tax credit. Correct? Look from CD Limited perspective. Can CD Limited claim ITC of CGST paid on the transaction? CGST, Tamil Nadu CGST, and SGST of Tamil Nadu. This tax, can he claim ITC? Or in other words, can ITC of CGST TN, SGST TN paid on the above transaction can be claimed by the, can ITC can be claimed by the company? Your views, please. CD Limited. Look, I'm asking now you to look from a recipient perspective. Look from a recipient perspective who pay 10 lakh rupee for the mission, 1,80,000 rupees for the mission. We only told place of supply is Tamil Nadu because goods does not goods are supplied at X factory price. Once goods are delivered at X factory, the place of supply is Tamil Nadu. Correct. Location of supplier is Tamil Nadu. Place of supply is Tamil Nadu. Nature of supply will be intra-state supply. Happily, AB Limited issued a bill. CGST Tamil Nadu, SGST Tamil Nadu, 90,000. My question is whether CD Limited, who has his office in Karnataka, because it's a continuation question. CD Limited, who has an office in Karnataka, Bangalore, can he claim ITC of CGST Tamil Nadu and SGST Tamil Nadu? Yes or no? Your answer alone makes me to go further or not to go further. Okay. If you say yes, then my answer, I have to give you some briefing. If you say no, then I have to give you some briefing. My briefing depends upon what answer you're going to give, because I'm not sure what is your understanding level. This zone, no one will touch. I can write and give you. I know by myself. No one will touch this zone because it's a controversial zone. My dear, the question is ITC available. You are all failing to forget to understand something. Can a CD Limited Karnataka registration, can CD Limited Karnataka claim credit of Karnataka CGST, Karnataka SGST and IGST, or any CGST, any SGST and any IGST? Okay. See, as I expected, but for 2-3 of you, all of the view, any CGST, any SGST, any IGST can be claimed. No, I'm sorry, no. Your GST credits are state specific credits. CGST of Karnataka, SGST of Karnataka, IGST can be claimed. See, IGST will not have a state color. IGST will not have a state color, whereas CGST and SGST will have a state color. So what do you mean by state color? It comes along with that state name. State color, we'll call it. State. along with that statement. Now, if I have in my GST, with my GST name itself mentioned, if I have a CGST and a SGST transaction under my name, I would not be entitled to claim credit because my registration is a Bangalore registration, Karnataka registration. Whereas the invoice that I have on hand that collected CGST and SGST, which is Tamil Nadu CGST and Tamil Nadu SGST. Am I eligible to claim credit? Sorry, I am not eligible to claim credit. Now you say me, you are a person going to buy a machine for 10 lakhs. When you're going to buy a machine for 10 lakhs, 1,80,000 rupees GST is there. When 1,80,000 rupees GST is there, you will very humbly come out and say, correct, the law is right. Law says the place where actually goods terminates, the place where actual delivery happens, the place where actual delivery of risk and responsibility is given, that place should be determined as place of supply. Will you agree in that way? Or no, the word delivery that is used here should be understood. The place where the mission is delivered. In other words, the litigation point which is going to be there for our future, which is going to be, is it your actual delivery is important or constructive delivery? What do we mean by actual delivery or constructive delivery? Constructive delivery means that goods is going to go to Bangalore. I know by myself. That movement can happen either by me or by any other person. Then the place where the goods goes, that would become place of supply for the purpose of GST law. But for our risk and responsibility, under the contract law, we have mentioned it will stop here. Is one way of argument. I am not giving you conclusion. One way of argument. The other argument from the next side is, no. Read that word, for delivery. For delivery is ante enti. They will come out and start. For delivery means all risk and responsibility comes to end because of a word actual is not there. If the word actual is there, we no need to speak for the last 20 minutes. Because of the word actual is not there, we are now going to have a fight for the next 5 years. Is it actual delivery or constructive delivery? Okay. One school of thought, it has to be actual delivery. Another school of thought, it has to be constructive delivery. The larger school of thought comes out and says it has to be constructive delivery. Otherwise, your GST mechanism will fail. When we implemented GST, we told there should be a seamless flow of credit. To have a seamless flow of credit, you cannot come and pitch in through Sale of Goods Act, through Contract Act, and interpret the term more specifically as per that law. You come to this law, read the preamble of this law, read the object of this law. Unless and otherwise, I am going to pick up my recipient as the recipient place as the place of delivery, I cannot bill him IGST. When I cannot bill him IGST, my recipient will not be eligible to claim credit. When my recipient does not claim credit, the chain of the credit stops. When the chain of the credit stops, the cost of the product goes. It goes back to, again, cascading effect, double taxation, vagera, transaction. Now, issue for us is look into the object of the law. Object of the law, it seems constructive delivery. I am not sure. Honestly, how many of you all understood? Say yes. If you fail to understand, I am happy to repeat it once again. I am not sure whether a question can come in exam or not. If you understood, good. Else, I would come back once again. Quick. Now, come back here. I'll repeat this whole discussion once again. A clear fight is going to happen. Is it actual delivery or constructive delivery? What do you mean by constructive delivery? This goods where should I have went? I know the GST number of other person. It goes only to that other person. I know he is going to take to his location only. Then the place where the goods goes and stops, that place should be my place of supply, is what a constructive delivery thinks. Actual delivery says, boss, at my factory gate, I gave the goods to you. All risk and responsibility from me as a supplier terminates. Movement terminates. For me, movement terminates. I moved from a factory to gate. At my factory gate, my movement terminates. So, the place where I give the goods, that would become place of supply. In the question, AB Limited, who has an office in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, supply goods to CD Limited, who has an office in Bangalore, Karnataka. If the movement of goods is on X factory price, X factory price, which means at the factory gate they will deliver the goods. If the goods are going to be at X factory price, for the supplier AB Limited, all risk and responsibility will stop at the factory gate. Now a question came, what is going to be place of supply? If you follow the actual delivery principle, delivery terminates at factory gate. Place of supply is Tamil Nadu. Actual delivery. If you're going to follow constructive delivery principle, this goods again going to be carried by the supplier to the complete destination. The destination is, I also mentioned in the bill, he is also generate some electronic way bill, which is very popularly called as e-way bill, and he is going to transport the goods by using the facility of some other carrier. No doubt, if in that transportation some accident happens, this happens, that happens, goods get damaged, as a supplier, I am not responsible because that is how our contract was. But the goods involves movement. The goods involves movement, but not by me as supplier, but by my recipient. In spite of, my risk and responsibility as a supplier stop at my factory gate. So the place where the goods are going to go, that would become place of supply. So two principles came up: actual delivery, constructive delivery. Constructive delivery comes out and says where the goods are intended to go. That would become place of supply. In case you find this example is a little difficult to you, unable to comprehend it, then you are in Tamil Nadu. You went to a friend's marriage in Kerala when situation is regular. A long time friend, you have been friends for, let's say, about more than 10, 12 years. You thought of gifting a gold coin to your friend on his marriage. Went to Joy or Lucas over there, identified a sovereign of gold coin, and because you are in business, because you are in professional practice, You thought you will give the GST number and claim credit of it. Okay. So gave your GST number. Joyalukas, Kerala, Kochi showroom, Ernakulam showroom. Okay. Recipient you are located in Tamil Nadu. Now, place of supply is what? Kerala or Tamil Nadu? If you're going to say the place where I given the goods delivered, actually I was delivered the goods at Kerala, place of supply becomes what? Kerala. No, sir. After getting that goods, I bring back that goods to Tamil Nadu, and then only I'm going to give him as a gift in Tamil Nadu when his marriage is going to happen. Then the movement of goods is handled by whom? Supplier. Now the question before us is, in case of all these transactions, your place of supply will be what? Kerala or Tamil Nadu? If you say Kerala, it's actual delivery. If you say Tamil Nadu, it is constructive delivery, where the goods are intended to go. Of course, responsibility of the supplier stops at his place. Rest responsibility is of the receiver. This is a fight that happens between actual delivery and constructive delivery. What should I do for exam? If you get an X factory question, you should write both answers. X factory question, you should write both answers. Actual delivery is the place where the goods are delivered. Risk and responsibility stops. That becomes place of supply. In spite of actual delivery, the recipient carries the goods to the customer's location. The place where it stops, that would become your constructive. The place where the movement stops, that becomes your constructive delivery. So is it actual delivery or constructive delivery? Would be a real fight in GST. Yes. Balaji, you have still doubts? Then kindly raise your hand. I will unmute. Yes, Vivekananda. Yes, Vivekananda.
Sir, both situation can be claimed, sir. Any situation, whichever we want, we can claim, sir.
Sorry.
ITC with in
ITC would be eligible if it is a constructive delivery only. If it is actual delivery, ITC cannot be claimed. Look from CD Limited perspective. You will get a bill, CGST and SGST of Tamil Nadu.
Okay, sir.
You cannot claim. But if it is a constructive delivery, place of supply becomes Karnataka. Location of supplier, Tamil Nadu. Place of supply, Karnataka. Then you will bill, it will be treated as an interstate supply. If it is an interstate supply, you will levy IGST. Done? Yes.
Okay. Sir, doubt இருக்கு சார் இன்னொரு தடவை சொல்லுங்க சார்.
If it is a actual delivery, you are going to opt.
Actual delivery டைரக்டா அவங்க ஸ்டேட்லயே கொண்டு டெலிவரி பண்றது தானே சார்.
பிரைஸ் நீங்க இது எல்லாமே கான்ட்ராக்ட தான் பார்க்கணும். ஓகே.
ஓகே சார்.
கான்ட்ராக்ட பாத்தீங்கன்னா எக்ஸ் ஃபேக்டரி பிரைஸ் அப்படின்னு இருந்ததுன்னா அவங்க ஃபேக்டரிக்கு வெளில குட்ஸை கொடுத்துருவாங்க. கரெக்டா?
ஓகே சார்.
ஸோ உங்களுக்கு ஆக்சுவலா எங்க டெலிவரி நடக்குது, எங்க ரிஸ்க் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டி எல்லாம் முடியுது.
One situation X factory sir, another one is recipient place.
X factory முடிஞ்சிரதா?
Yes sir.
இது பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை ஆயிடுமா? தமிழ்நாடு
ஆமா சார்.
சிடி லிமிடெட் பில் அடிக்கும் போது உங்களுக்கு என்னன்னு போட்டு பில் அடிப்பாங்க. நீங்க தான் சிடி லிமிடெட். ஏபி லிமிடெட் பில் அடிக்கும் போது உங்களுக்கு என்னன்னு போட்டு பில் அடிப்பாங்க. இன்ட்ரா ஸ்டேட் சப்ளைன்னு போட்டு சிஜிஎஸ்டி எஸ்ஜிஎஸ்டி.
ஆமா சார்.
இல்ல
Intrastate.
லைன் அடிப்பாங்களாம்.
Intrastate சார்.
இன்ட்ராஸ்டேட். நீங்க பெங்களூர்ல ஜிஎஸ்டி ரெஜிஸ்ட்ரேஷன் வச்சிருக்கவர், உங்களால இதை கிரெடிட் எடுக்க முடியுமான்னா முடியாது.
முடியாது சார். ஓகே சார்.
ஓகேவா, முடிச்சிருங்க. இதே சிச்சுவேஷன் எல்லாம் இதே. நம்ம அடிஷனலா என்ன கேள்வி கேட்கிறோம்னா, டெர்மினேட்ஸ் ஃபார் டெலிவரிய நீங்க ஏன் மூமெண்டோட சேர்த்து படிக்கிறீங்க? ஃபார் டெலிவரின்னு படிக்கும்போது ஏன் எம்பசைஸ் பண்றீங்க ரிஸ்க் ரெஸ்பான்சிபிலிட்டிலாம் முடியணும்னு? இங்க எதுவும் அது மாதிரிலாம் கொடுக்கலையே, ஆக்சுவல்ன்ற வார்த்தையை மென்ஷன் பண்ணலையே. அவன் எப்படி சொல்றான்? ஃபார் டெலிவரி, த மூமெண்ட் டெர்மினேட்ஸ் ஃபார் டெலிவரி அப்படின்னா அதை ஃபார் டெலிவரிய சாதாரணமா படிங்க, எம்பசைஸ் பண்ணி படிக்காதீங்க. நீங்க வந்து எம்பசைஸ் ஃபார் டெலிவரி டு த ரெசிபியன்ட், அது அந்த அந்த வார்த்தையை எம்பசைஸ் பண்றதுனாலதான் ஆக்சுவல் டெலிவரின்னு ஒரு கான்செப்டுக்கு போறீங்க. இங்க நாங்க ஆக்சுவல் டெலிவரின்னு ஒரு கான்செப்ட சொல்லல, வேற ஒரு கான்செப்ட் சொல்றோம். என்னன்னா கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரின்னு இன்னொரு குரூப் வருது. இது ஏன் கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரியா இருக்கக்கூடாது? வேர் பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை will be the place where movement terminates for delivery to the recipient, where the goods are delivered to the recipient. Recipient யோசிச்சு பாருங்க. நான் ரெசிபியன்ட் பெங்களூர்ல இருக்கேன், ஒரு ஹரி அப்படின்னு ஒரு டிரான்ஸ்போர்ட்டரை கூப்பிடுறேன். ஒரு மிஷின் வந்து சென்னையில இருக்கு, அங்கேருந்து எடுத்துன்னு வந்து எனக்கு இங்க கொடுத்துறேன், டிரான்ஸ்போர்டேஷனுக்கெல்லாம் ரிஸ்க் எல்லாம் இன்சூர் பண்ணிக்கோப்பா அப்படின்னு நான் சொன்னேன்னா, எனக்கு ரெசிபியண்டா எனக்கு மிஷின் எங்க வருது? பெங்களூர்ல தான் வருது.
சரி.
என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் நான் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரி அப்படின்னு. ஏன்னா எனக்கு இங்கதான் வருது. ஆக்சுவல் டெலிவரியா கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரியா? கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரி வந்து இமேஜினரி பாயிண்ட், ஆக்சுவல் டெலிவரி லீகல் பாயிண்ட். இதுதான் இதுல இருக்க பிரச்சனை. கன்ஸ்ட்ரக்டிவ் டெலிவரினா பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை கர்நாடகா, ஒன்ஸ் பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை கர்நாடகானா லொகேஷன் ஆஃப் சப்ளையர் தமிழ்நாடு, பிளேஸ் ஆஃப் சப்ளை கர்நாடகா, இன்டர்ஸ்டேட் சப்ளை. இன்டர்ஸ்டேட் சப்ளைனா ஐஜிஎஸ்டி. IGST means Bangalore Fellow CD Limited would be entitled to claim ITC. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Actual delivery இருந்தா ITC கிடைக்காது. ITC கிடைக்கணும்ன்றதுதான் இந்த சட்டத்தோட மெயின் இதுங்க. நீங்க எப்படி ITC-ய பிளாக் பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்றது இன்னொரு குரூப்போட क्वेश्चन. Understood?
As of now, it is blocked only, sir.
As of now, open. நீங்க போலாம், இப்படியும் போலாம்.
எப்படி வேணாலும் பில் ரைஸ் பண்றத பொறுத்து இருக்கு.
விவேகானந்தன் எந்த ஊர்ல இருக்கு? சொந்த ஊர் எந்த?
இல்ல சார், இங்க சென்னையில தான் சார் இருக்காங்க.
எனக்கு தெரியாது. சேலத்துக்கு போறதா இருந்தா வெள்ளூர், கிருஷ்ணகிரி, தர்மபுரி, சேலம் போலாம்.
ஓகே சார்.
இன்னொரு ரூட் இருக்கு, தாம்பரம், செங்கல்பட்டு, திண்டிவனம், அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த ரைட்ல திரும்பி ஆத்தூரோ ஏதோ ஒரு ஊரு, அதுக்கப்புறம் உள்ளுக்குள்ள போலாம் சேலம். 2 ரூட் இருக்கு. ஓகேவா?
ஓகே சார்.
உங்களுக்கு எது வசதியோ, உங்களால எது சண்டை போட முடியுமோ அந்த ரூட் எடுத்து போலாம் அப்படின்றது எங்களுடைய வியூ. ஆக்சுவல் நோ இஷ்யூ. ஓகே,
நோ இஷ்யூ சார்.
பட் ரெசிபியன்ட் if he located in other state, இந்த ஸ்டேட் விட்டுருங்க.
Okay, sir.
State problem la. If recipient in another state, he will lose ITC.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he will lose ITC. So to overcome that, people started to invoke your what is it? Constructive delivery.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thanks. Thank you.
Yes. Before we move forward, any question? One of your important entry. There are only 2 entries will take time. Among that, first entry which will take time is the same. Sir, one entry so much time required. This entry alone will require so much time because 90%, 95% of all the goods transaction will be covered only by this entry. Though there are rest 4 entries in your real life scenario, the rest 4 entries are rarely used. Many times, every transaction will come only in this entry. Balaji has raised a question. Sir, can AB Limited charge CGST and SGST, though CD Limited's GST number is in Bangalore and CD Limited doesn't have a TN registration. Yes. Your registration number and CGST, SGST does not decide anything. It's the location of supplier and the place of supply alone decides the tax liability. It is not the location of supplier and location of receipt. I can change it. I can always change it. Okay. Coming back here, getting into a next limb of discussion. Sometimes there would be a possibility that goods are supplied as per the instruction of one person and goods are delivered to another person. Goods are supplied as per the instruction of one person and goods are delivered to another person. So when it comes to those discussion, 10(1)(b) comes out and highlights. When goods are delivered by the supplier to recipient or any other person on the directions or instructions of a third person. Make yourself very clear. 3 persons are involved here. Goods are delivered by a supplier, first person. To whom? Either to a recipient or to any other person. So recipient or any other person. Some person, you in fact leave recipient, another person. Supplier deliver the goods to another person on the direction or instruction of a third person. A limited supplier supply the goods to C limited as per the instructions of B limited. Then it is deemed, look at that wording is important. It is deemed the third person has received the goods. It is deemed that the third person who gave instruction, B limited, the third person who gave instruction, who gave direction to supply the goods, that person has received the goods and place of supply will be the principal place of business of the third person. Such person means the referred above person, third person. To the extent possible, I brought as per section so that we get that connectivity when we write. Goods are delivered by supplier to recipient or other person. Supplier to recipient goods goes or supplier to other person goods goes as per the directions or instructions of a third person. Place of supply will be the principal place of business of the third person. I'll do one thing. I'll prefer a whiteboard than if I'm going to ask you in a normal way. R limited, supplier of Q limited, received the goods. P Limited, instructed or directed to deliver the goods to Q Limited. In fact, P Limited instructed or directed to deliver the goods to Q Limited. So this is your situations where you have a R Limited, a supplier of goods, P Limited, who got an instruction to supply goods, and based on P Limited's instructions, goods are delivered. And there is a Q Limited who has received the goods. See, maybe there will be a subsequent transaction between P Limited and Q Limited. We don't know about that. This is how the arrangement is as of now. As of now, the arrangement is R Limited has supplied the goods to P Limited. R Limited has supplied the goods to P Limited as per instructions received from P Limited. R Limited has supplied the goods to Q Limited as per instructions received from P Limited. Sir, who has instructed them to deliver over here? Very simple. He has instructed. Yeah. Yes. Sir, what is the charm in this transaction? The charm in this transaction is, if all of them are going to be in the same state, nothing is interesting. Okay. First, let's put states. Then only you'll get an interesting factor. P Limited in Tamil Nadu, R Limited in Karnataka, Q Limited in Karnataka. How to determine place of supply? For which law comes out and says that in case of R Limited, though the R Limited deliver the goods to Q Limited, we will not go by the movement of goods and all, because we get an instruction from P Limited. The principal place of business of P Limited would be deemed to be the place of supply. Place of supply will be, it would be deemed that the goods are received by P Limited, and the principal place of business of P Limited would become place of supply. In this given transaction, place of supply will be what? Some of you text. I'm waiting for some of your other answers. Sorry. It's not S Limited, R Limited. Over enthusiastically I wrote. And I only saw your comments. Sorry. This is instructed R Limited. So this is just a correction, minor correction there. Nothing, factually nothing will change. One minute. Sorry, that is not R limited, that is S limited. Okay. Sorry, that is not S limited, that is R limited. You have to read it as R limited. Somehow I am unable to correct it. Yes. In spite of that mistake, answer will remain same. Yes. Place of supply will be TN. A lot of you got it right. Okay. Place of supply will be TN. All of you got it right. Now, the real charm is not here. Sir, all three same states, no charm. All three, what is a different states only makes you a real charm. The charm in the transaction will come only over here. When R limited supply goods to Q limited, as per the instructions of P limited. Okay. Now, would your place of supply would change? Is the question. All are in different location. Yes. Quick. In the same discussion, if you carefully note, Q limited position is changed. Q limited position is changed. Q limited earlier was in Karnataka. Now Q limited is changed to Kerala. Will your place of supply will remain same or it would change? Answer would be place of supply will quick. Place of supply. Irrespective of where you give delivery, we are not bothered at all. Okay. Then when it comes to 3%. Sir, how do I know this also involves movement? How do I know it is not covered by transaction 10(1)(a)? Some of you might have a question in mind. When you read the question itself, you will come across first 3%. One person instructing the other person to deliver the goods to another person. That itself is a hint. It is a bill to ship to transaction. R limited actually does what? Bills P limited and deliver the goods to Q limited. Yes or no? That is why we call this as, in short, as bill to ship to transaction. If you carefully note, R limited is billing. R limited is billing your P limited. It's bill to, and this is what? Your ship to. In a bill to ship to transaction, always there will be three people. A supplier will deliver the goods. Look from supplier perspective. A supplier, R limited, will deliver the goods to Q limited, ship to Q limited, but bill to P limited. In case of a bill to ship to transaction, three people will be there. That is a clue. Though there is a movement involved in it, specific description will prevail over general description. Two. Yes. Now, if you could able to conveniently confirm the discussion, I will take you to the next level. Okay. Interesting part is same topic, same content, same slide, same earlier level, but discussion alone will be different. All level 2 discussion, underlying one word and debating, that alone will be in final. Saying that word, leaving it as it is, would be at an earlier level. Beyond that, I don't find any topical difference between your earlier level and this final level. Maybe a course like chart accountancy, a course like company secretary. To these two courses, that emphasis was not supplied much on place of supply earlier. Take up CA, we never had place of supply at all. Take up CS, we had the topic, but not that much pushes there. Total discussion itself was only 4 pages, as against 40 pages when it comes to CMA intern. That is the level. So from a CM inter level, to some extent, a glimpse about all this will be already given. Now, what is a change, sir? Only one change. Q limited head show. The only thing is, after me discussing it, உங்களுக்குலாம் வேற வேலையே இல்லையாடா அப்படின்னு கௌரவமா கேட்குறீங்க. Hope you all now understood the problem. Q limited head show in Tamil Nadu instructs R limited and say, supply the goods to my branch in Karnataka. I'll rearrange this number back. Supply the goods in Karnataka to my branch. Supply the goods to Karnataka to my branch and collect payment and money all from me. Q limited instructs R limited. Q limited HO instructs R limited and ask R limited to supply the goods to branch office of Q limited. Branch office of Q limited, let's say in this is a branch office of Q limited. Q limited's branch office in Bangalore. Bill will come to Q. Is this in this transaction? What is your place of supply? Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. First of all, this transaction will be covered by now you all started to think on my lines. Good, Pavitra. A few of you got it. Now, just a minute. It's only a thinking pattern. Once the thinking pattern steps in, third person, HO and branch, same person or two different person? HO and branch, same person or different person? Hope you all now understood the problem here. Do you have a third person or you don't have the third person? Sir, we have a third person. If you come out and say, good. Where it is? If you have come out and say, yes, sir, we have a third person, that third person has to be looked in from the eyes of the GST law. In GST law, HO in Tamil Nadu and branch office in Karnataka are treated as two distinct persons. Can you be able to appreciate this discussion? In schedule 1, when we referred about distinct person, we went to section 25 subsection 4 and 25 subsection 5 and understood that any transaction between distinct person, even without consideration, would be treated as supply. I'm just borrowing that theory. Boss, person means person. Person will also include distinct person. So Q limited HO, distinct person. Q limited branch office, Karnataka, distinct person. R limited person, different person. So different person, distinct person. So 3% are there. Bill to ship to transaction. Place of supply, Tamil Nadu. So R Limited will charge IGST. R Limited will charge what? IGST to Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu person will be entitled to claim what? Input tax credit. No, sir. Q Limited has single PAN number, single balance sheet, single submission. So Q Limited is only one person. If you come out and say, I'm sorry, the place where the goods are delivered, movement involves movement terminates, Karnataka, place of supply, Karnataka, location of supplier R Limited, Karnataka, then intra-state supply to Tamil Nadu Q Limited head office. R Limited will issue CGST, SGST invoice as it is an intra-state supply of Karnataka. Tamil Nadu person cannot enjoy the CGST, SGST of Karnataka. The levy credit, availment of credit fails. Is the intention of the lawmaker is to come up with person means three different person or even a distinct person will be considered as a third person. I'm not again sure. All the level 2, level 3 discussions are all might go above your head. I do agree with you. Might go above your head because on the first day, when we are here about it, person only know what is the challenge in it. Person, does it includes distinct person also, head office and branch office, principal and agent. Can a head office place a request to a supplier to give the goods to its own branch office? Will that transaction be covered under 10(1)(b)? Preferably when where the head office and branch office are located in different states. See, if it is everything in the same state, you will not have a problem at all. I already told you. If it is in different state only, the problem is little interesting. Done? Yes. True. Can we move forward? Quick. If you all say yes, I can move forward. Done. Quick. No replies. Got it? Both level 1 discussions. Okay, va? Not level 1, above level 1. Okay, level 2 discussion and level 3 discussion. This is. See, I'm honestly sharing. I'm not sure whether an examiner will test you and drill you down too much. Okay. If there is something to be drilled down, what I have in stores, if you're going to ask me, that's all. That word for delivery, important. That word creates an impact for delivery, that too subsequently to the recipient, create furthermore impact. Again here, third person. Third person means it has to be a P limited, Q limited, R limited. 1, 2, 3, 3%. Or R limited, Q limited HO, Q limited branch. Q limited HO Tamil Nadu, Q limited branch Karnataka, already distinct person. Two different person, distinct person. Sorry, not different person, two distinct person. So this two plus one more. See, if it is Q limited and Q limited HO, Q limited branch, words are all given in the question. You should give both perspective. You should answer it from a both perspective. I would strongly recommend it's an open-ended question. பவித்ரா தேர்ட் பர்சனுக்கு டெஃபினிஷன் இருந்ததுன்னா நான் இந்த கேள்வியே கேட்க மாட்டேன். நம்ம 15 நிமிஷம் டிஸ்கஸே பண்ண வேண்டாம். தேர்ட் பர்சனுக்கு டெஃபினிஷன் இல்லாதது தானே. அந்த மூன்றாவது மனிதர் யார் அப்படின்றது மட்டும் டெஃபினிஷன் போட்டுட்டாங்கன்னா, see the issues are all this. What do we mean by address of delivery? You have definition, but you don't have a definition for Delivery. What you are thinking of delivery? Is it delivery represents a mere delivery of goods, or the relinquishment of the risk and responsibility associated with it? If I read it from a sale of goods act, if I read it from a transfer of property act, that's what. விவேகானந்தன் ஹெச்ஓ இஸ் அ தேர்ட் பர்சன். அது சண்டைங்க. அதுதாங்க நாங்கள் இவ்வளவு நேரம் சொன்னோம். நீங்க திருப்பி முதல்ல இருந்தே ஹெச்ஓ இஸ் அ தேர்ட் பர்சனான்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா எனக்கு புரியல. டிஸ்டிங் பர்சன், தேர்ட் பர்சன். மூணாவது ஒருத்தர் வர இல்லைங்க, தேர்ட் பர்சன் தானேங்க அவரு. தேர்ட் டிஸ்டிங்க்ட் பர்சன், அவ்வளவுதானே. பட் எண்ட் ஆஃப் த டே என்ன? See, I would ask Vivekanandan you a very simple question. HO send goods to branch under GST. Will you tax or not? If you're going to tax it, then you accepted both of them are what? Different person or distinct person. That's all. Anga distinct person sir. Adu levy, idu place of supply. Edutha ore stand. These are all fun time questions. See, let me repeat it. Over the last half an hour or 40 minutes, if you seriously want to enjoy the discussion, or if you something you told is that I am not able to comprehend with today's maturity level, I would only recommend nothing, 4 lines, 10.1a, 10.1b. Copy it, Google it 10.1a, read it that plain line, allow it to settle down. Read it 10.1b, allow it to settle down. Concentrate on 2 words. Place of supply will be the place where the movement terminates for delivery to the recipient. If it's settled down, it gives you some learning. Go search what is for delivery. Then person, we have a definition person. Whether the third person has to be third person or even a distinct person will also be covered under third person. All don't expect answers. Okay. Questions are all open-ended questions. As of today, we don't have any views on this. No clarification from the government and nothing from the government. Government will not clarify all this. They want it to get settled over a period of time by nice legal jurisprudence associated with it. We have 3 more discussions to make and then a domestic place of supply, which we will take it up in our next class when we meet and try to close the next 3 sections and a portion relating to domestic services. At least by next session, we should be in a comfortable position to close both domestic related transactions. So, any questions? Yes, I would pick it up. Thank you all for effective and patient listening. Thank you.